Imagine a concept of beauty that does not depend on fashion, makeup, or digital filters. Plato maintained that the beautiful is not exhausted in what is visible, but is a reflection of something eternal. For him, beauty did not reside only in the face of a person or in the harmony of a statue, but in a divine light that runs through all things. It is a kind of radiance, an echo of the perfect, the immutable, that which never changes despite the passage of time. Thus, an attractive face or a work of art moves us only because they connect, even if just for seconds, with that higher and invisible beauty. This means that what is truly beautiful can never deteriorate because it does not originate in the physical, but in a higher reality that transcends everything. But how does Plato arrive at this idea? His explanation appears in a fascinating text called the Symposium, where he suggests that all human loves and desires stem from a mysterious impulse toward beauty. According to him, when we admire an elegant body or a charming melody, we are not really worshipping that in itself, but letting ourselves be seduced by a spark of absolute beauty. It is as if those objects were imperfect mirrors reflecting a sun we cannot look at directly. The higher we ascend in understanding, the more we realize that the beautiful does not belong to the material, but to an untouchable sphere of being. And that upward climb is a journey that grips both reason and emotion. Plato describes this process as a ladder of love. At first, we are attracted to a beautiful body. Then we discover that there are others equally attractive. The next step is to understand that true beauty does not lie in a particular body, but in the very form of bodily beauty. Later, that love is transferred to the soul, to wisdom, to laws, and to everything that contains harmony. On the final rung, according to Plato, one contemplates beauty itself, eternal, indivisible, luminous. It is an almost mystical journey. The ladder is a vital symbol. It begins with what we feel when we see someone smile, but if we keep climbing, it leads us to understand the beautiful as a reality that exists beyond any person or concrete object. The impact of this idea was immense in Western culture. Think of the Greek sculptors. For them, representing a perfect body was not just an aesthetic act, it was an attempt to approach that higher form of the beautiful. Marble was not just carved stone, it was a doorway to the eternal. That obsession with symmetry and proportion is recorded in works that, centuries later, still leave us breathless. It was not about imitating flawless real bodies, but about approaching an untouchable proportion that surpassed the human. That is why a statue could transmit an almost divine sensation, as if it revealed something greater than the physical, something that lived in the realm of pure ideas. A curious fact: this concept even influenced the architecture of temples, like the Parthenon in Athens. Its proportions follow a canon that seeks harmony and perfection, not out of whim, but because it was believed they reflected a higher order of the universe. Every column, every angle was calculated to deliver the experience of beauty beyond the visual. When a visitor contemplated it, they did not just see stone, but felt the vibration of a geometry pointing toward something eternal. Thus, architecture became a bridge between the sensible and the divine, a reminder that beauty is not exhausted in our immediate perception. In Plato's philosophy, beauty is intimately linked with truth and goodness. This means that beauty is not only something pleasing to the eye, but also a path to knowledge and virtue. When something appears beautiful to us, we feel drawn to it, and that attraction can guide us toward a higher way of life. For Plato, admiring the beautiful is, at its core, an exercise in purifying the soul. It is no coincidence that he connects beauty with perfection and clarity, since ugliness would be what is confused, disordered, or dark. Beauty is luminous, and that light invites us to understand better who we are and where we should direct ourselves. That link between beauty and truth may seem strange today, but it resonated deeply for centuries. Think of the Renaissance, when artists like Leonardo da Vinci became obsessed with geometric proportions that revealed a supposed universal harmony. The figure of the Vitruvian Man is not just an anatomical drawing, it is the representation of the idea that the human body contains the same perfection as the cosmos. This concept largely comes from Platonic heritage. They believed that by discovering beauty, we could decipher hidden laws of nature, and that in every perfect line of art there was a divine message. Even music was transformed by this vision. Plato affirmed that musical harmony could educate the soul because it connects us with mathematical proportions belonging to the same order that governs universal beauty. That is why the Greeks thought certain melodies could form more virtuous citizens, while others were capable of corrupting character. Musical beauty was not entertainment, it was spiritual discipline. Every note, every chord sought to synchronize the human soul with a kind of cosmic music. Thus, listening to a beautiful melody was, in the words of that tradition, hearing the sonic reflection of the eternal. A striking example of this association appears in dance. For Plato, the movement of the body could lead us into the same realm of absolute beauty if guided by proportions and rhythms that imitated the order of the cosmos. It was not about dancing for fun, but about reproducing in the human body the harmony followed by the stars in the heavens. Think of the ritual dances of certain Greek cultures, where every step had both mathematical and spiritual meaning. That perfectly measured movement was not only beautiful to watch, but a physical contact with the eternal. The body became an instrument to experience the immutable. The paradox is that for Plato, sensible beauty, the one we see with our eyes, is always incomplete. It can be a clue, a spark, a calling, but it never reaches fullness. That is why we feel unsatisfied. We admire a painting, but then seek another. A landscape fascinates us, but soon we want a different one. That desire, according to Plato, is the engine that pushes us to keep climbing the ladder of love. We never stop, because what we really seek is not down here, but on a higher level, invisible to the senses. That unquenchable longing would be, in his thought, proof that something absolute exists toward which we ceaselessly aim. Curiously, Plato thought that few people managed to reach that supreme vision of beauty itself. He spoke of philosophers, sages, souls highly prepared to detach from obsession with the physical and rise to the eternal. This raises an intriguing question. Could it be that we all perceive beauty incompletely? Perhaps the everyday admirations we feel are merely shadows of a tremendous fire we cannot touch. In some way, Plato invites us to accept that the beauty we think we control is beyond our grasp. We do not create it, we discover it, and that discovery is as overwhelming as trying to look straight at the sun. There is a powerful image that Plato uses in other dialogues that connects perfectly with this theme. The allegory of the cave. There, the prisoners only see shadows and believe that this is reality. When one escapes, he discovers the real world illuminated by the sun and understands that what he had seen were only appearances. This metaphor also serves to explain beauty. What we consider beautiful at first sight would only be imperfect shadows, clumsy reflections of a light we have not yet been able to fully behold. Our aesthetic feeling is real, but incomplete. It is the echo of a music heard faintly and blurred. Today, In a world flooded with filtered images and unattainable standards imposed by social media, Plato's perspective strikes powerfully. He would tell us that what is truly beautiful is not found in followers, likes, or external appearances, but in something completely different. That beauty which neither ages nor deforms is in knowledge, in goodness, in inner harmony. When we pursue only the aesthetic, we miss the journey. The philosopher challenges us to look beyond the surface, to understand that what we anxiously seek in photographs and digital images is, in reality, an echo of something much higher and deeper. What is fascinating is that this concept does not eliminate our passion for the visible, but transforms it. Plato would say that every time we pause before a work of art, a melody, or even someone's smile, we are knocking at the doors of the eternal without realizing it. That experience holds a promise. If we follow its thread, we can come to understand the absolute beauty that shines beyond the senses. In this way, the everyday becomes a constant reminder of the transcendent. Nothing is trivial. A detail can be a spark of the infinite. And understanding that changes forever the way we perceive the beautiful in our lives.